Are you training for the next big race and unsure what to do with your nutrition? Well, take advantage of Precision Fuel and Hydration's free online planner. It'll help you figure out exactly how much carbs, sodium, and fluid you need to smash your goals. I swear by their 90-gram resealable gel on all my long runs and recently used it at the Ballarat Marathon. Click the link in the show notes, use the planner, and get 15% off your first order with the code INSIDERUN15. Support the Inside Running podcast and boost your performance. Now let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome to episode number 353 of the Inside Running podcast. Thanks for being with us for another week. Big show coming up at you. The Olympic track and field program has kicked off, so we're going to go through some of the results that have happened so far over there in Paris. We had the Ballarat 15K happen in Victoria with a couple of big names going around that one. Some listener questions. We've got Sam Hopper, thanks to ASICS, coming on the podcast this week, and Moose on the Loose, a bit of training talk. This agenda looks good, a bit of stuff to predict and preview as well for the next coming days. Welcome to my co-host, Bradley Croker. Feels very weird doing this on a Monday, considering we've been doing it almost nightly for the last 3 or 4 nights, but how are you up in Canberra?
I'm good, Brady. It does seem a bit weird, and it's first time I'm sort of recording in a different room of the house, which I've never done before, so hopefully doesn't change the audio too much.
No, you sound good, Croaks. You sound good. The other man, he tells me he's got an ear infection. Not sure how well his hearing goes. Might be yelling through the speakers tonight. Julian Spence, the 2019 Australian representative at their World Championships in Doha. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, mate. I am a bit hard of hearing. I don't know if you remember, I had an ear problem a couple of years ago. I went to the doctor, went to the ENT specialist, and they said, you got surfer's ear, which means your bone, like the bony growth, you've got a big bony growth in your ear that grows over to protect your ear canal from the elements, from like water and wind, and they call it surfer's ear, and now it's grown over so much there's only the tiniest little hole left, and so it creates a lot of problems because a lot of, like, you get water in there but it can't get out, and so it becomes like you get infections. And then when you get a little bit of blockage, because the hole's so small, you go deaf really quick. So that's happened again.
Is that a badge of honour amongst surfers, Moose? A bit like black toenails for runners?
Down here, maybe. It's a cold weather thing. So no one in Queensland gets it. You need some pretty bad temperatures to get that growth going, that protection, the body going into protection mode. And it's over a long period of time, obviously, because it's like bony growth. It takes a while.
You can go first this week, Moose, because you had a race. Let's hear about your training into your Sunday race.
Yeah, I had a pretty average week. I didn't feel great this week. On Monday, I got out in the morning, just about 11K. And I got on the treadie in the afternoon for half an hour. And then the next morning I did an hour around town. Same with the Wednesday. So this was coming off a bigger Sunday workout, the long tempo with Gunther. So I decided to push this to Thursday. I reckon that's going to be better for me to do workouts Thursday. I was planning on doing a workout in Torquay on Thursday morning, but everything just got later and later that day. I had a bit of work on, and it got so late that I was going to miss an appointment. So I ended up just jogging instead of doing the workout, and I pushed the workout back to the evening. So after work, I got down to this, like we call it the Chanel estate. You were there, Brady. You know what it's all about. Pretty latest workout I've done for a very long time. I actually can't remember the last time I've done an afternoon workout. It didn't feel right, and I was strip it back to the just get it done type mentality. Like get out, 15 minutes jog, no fluffing around, quick change of shoes, off you go. Don't worry about the paces or the workout being spectacular or anything like that. I don't mind doing afternoon workouts. My body tends to feel better, but I just like to get home too after work. So I didn't love this. I did a workout, just nothing crazy. Because I had to race the Ballarat 15K on the Sunday. So I did a workout that Ali likes to give people. It's there's variations of it, but it essentially is like a longer threshold interval followed by a hard interval. So what I did was 3 sets of 7 minutes at threshold, then a minute slow jog, and I'm talking proper slow jog, like shuffle, and then a minute, probably at about 3 to 5K effort. For a minute, it's not too bad. Then you jog a minute and you go back into the next set. So I went off heart rate here. The first one I couldn't really get going, around 3:23s. And then I got that minute at 2:57 pace. However, it did feel like I was just sprinting all out. Like, this is very awkward pace for me. I haven't done anything like this for a long time. So this was pretty awkward. Then into 3:12s for the next threshold block, 2:56 for the minute, 3:12 and 3 minute for the next block. The heart rate was pretty good. It's more just my body not being able to keep up too much with the required sort of like the mechanics in that 1 minute. Just the extra range that you go through, like the muscles, like a wider range of contraction, and at the extreme points of that, you're just going into this stretch that you haven't for a long time, and that's what I got sore from. So I woke up the next day pretty sore from this, and this was Thursday night, and I also did some manual work on the Friday, and so by Friday night I was so tired, and I was so sore. And Saturday, so on Friday I jogged twice, just half an hour each time, and then on the Saturday I got out with Sam Toll. He runs for Glen Huntly. He was in town. We got out for an hour on the trails, and I fell in a total hole after this. I had to have a nap. I was just, and I wasn't a choice to have a nap. Like, I had to have a nap. That my body was shutting down on me. I was so tired. And I've got this, I had like a sore ear during the week, and then it got worse, and then it blocked up on me, and then the other ear went and blocked as well. So I had, I couldn't hear anything, and I had a lot of pressure in the ear, which makes it really awkward when you're running, because you hear your own heartbeat and your own breathing really clearly in your ear, and I hate that feeling. It's like if you put headphones on, or like earplugs in that go too far, and it makes it really awkward. That was Saturday. I actually woke up feeling okay on Sunday morning, so drove down to Ballarat, about 90-minute drive for us here, around 5K warm-up. Weather in Ballarat, amazing. You could not have found a better day. Like, it was, living in Ballarat 6 years, this would have been the best day I've ever seen in Ballarat. Not a breath of wind, blue sky. I reckon it was about 3 degrees when we pulled in, probably about 7 or 8 degrees on the start line.
Yeah, your Strava says 8 degrees and wind of 2.7 kilometres per hour.
It's just unheard of, really.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like heaven-like conditions for Ballarat. Like, you would never find a better day than this. Never. Which, funnily enough, didn't really relate to that much. Like, it didn't, the performances didn't quite reflect that, I don't think. I guess it wasn't like the best, like, stellar field or anything, but I thought we might have seen some better stuff. I mean, Lisa Waitman ran really well. But yeah, that was, the conditions on the start line were great. I had this kind of idea that I would run with Toby and Matt from Geelong and Hardy. We're all I thought we might be all similar sort of fitness level. Matt and I obviously very close after Bundoora. The gun goes off. I look down at a K and I'm like, this feels like we've gone out way too hard here. And I was expecting to see 3:02 on my watch. That was just my gut feel. And I looked down and it said 3:13. And that's when I knew it was going to be a very long day for me, because I was like heaving breath. I felt like I couldn't really run much faster mechanically. And I thought, okay, you can handle this. You're just feeling bad. Like sometimes you can feel bad and still pull it off. Just stick with the pack for as long as you can. That was sort of my goal. There's no point dropping back now when you're around people that you probably should be around. Sometimes you come good. So the pack that I was with was fairly strong. I reckon we all worked together pretty well. Toby and Hardy, they ran off a little bit up the road. Our gang, who was it? Michael Marantali, Gunther, myself and Sam Toll, we sort of formed the pack for the majority of the time. All those guys beat me. I dropped off. I'm going to say it was a pretty quick drop off, but when I look at my splits, I don't actually think that it was a quick drop off. My splits aren't that disastrous, really. It's just I think the other guys picked it up maybe 2 or 3 seconds a K, and I couldn't. I just stayed even. So at about 6K, I looked down. We're on about 3:09 pace. Went through 10K in 31:50, I think. So it slowed a little bit. And then through the backside of the lake, like I went from 8K onwards, 3:12, 12, 12, 14, 15, 13, 14, 13. So not a horrible blow up, but I was disappointing as a racer. I really didn't go past too many. Maybe I passed 3 or 4 people, but I got passed by probably 15 to 20 people. A lot of guys using this as a tempo run, and it's pretty like harsh. Demoralizing is the word.
Disheartening.
Both of those work well. Both of those very good words to describe what happens when a bunch of 8 Western athletics blokes roll past you talking to each other, and you're spitting a lung out on the side, and they're just like having a nice little afternoon or a nice little morning in Ballarat, chilling out, getting their workout in. So no matter how much I tried, I couldn't stick with them as they went past. It was a very long 6K lap of the lake for me to finish. Like I was in a lot of hurt. I was pretty happy that I held on like I did, and that it wasn't disastrous, but I wasn't very happy with how the race went for me. It's one of those ones where I knew early it wasn't going to go too well for me, yet I committed to it, and that just creates this sort of almighty, painful, like really shit running experience.
So you're telling me the lake made you its bitch kind of thing? Last time around.
Yeah. The lake, I've had 2 good runs here. One of them was a good workout. The other one was a good race. And every other time I've raced this, I've fucking had shockers, and I've hated it. I had one where I shit my pants, I reckon, one time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was sort of considering stopping, but it's a bit too much traffic, and I'm like, oh, there was one where I actually had to stop. I stopped in the bathroom halfway through the race. I lost the pack that I was in. It was a good pack, front pack too. And then the next lap, I couldn't, there's no public toilets on the other side of the lake. This was when I was running for Geelong, long time ago. From Geelong, never really been in Ballarat, didn't know where the toilets were. So I've always had a bad taste in my mouth about this race. This one here was just hard work.
But Moose, for how you explain the race, the pacing's actually pretty good. Your fastest kilometre that I see here was your second one at 3:08, and your slowest was 3:15. There's certainly no blow up. You held it together pretty well. And do you reckon, although Bundoora was a good result, like you've now strung together a couple of weeks of training. You know what it's like when you come off like maybe not a lot of training, like you're at least fresh, and like Bundoora maybe gave you a bit of false confidence, but now you've strung together a couple of weeks. You're also in that period where running's a bit inconsistent because your body's trying to adapt to a bit more load as well.
Yeah, I reckon that it's like a bit of a phenomenon, I reckon, that the first race back when you're not fit, where you can pull something out your ass. It happens all the time. I reckon Toby Mende did it on the weekend. Where you're not actually fit, but you've just got so much adrenaline, excitement, like you love racing again, you forget about it, how unfit you are, and you can rip a good one, and then you go back into this sort of build fitness phase, and you can't quite get up as much for the races, and you're fatigued a bit, and that's exactly what this was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same like 2 or 3 weeks after a marathon, I think, and then like 6 or 7 weeks after a marathon.
Yeah.
You've backed off, you kind of freshened up a bit, you've probably got some fitness from the marathon still in your legs, and then you just punch on because you've got no pressure on. And then 5 weeks later, you're like, geez, that was a great run compared to what you're spitting out.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much how I feel about it. I knew it wouldn't have been good. The day before I was fucked. I was like in bed and I didn't feel very good.
What did you come, like 32nd or something?
I'm not sure. I didn't even look. I know it was over 30th. I know the Geelong Cats came second, so we're very happy about that.
Good day for the Cats. We'll talk about that a bit later on.
Very good day for the Cats.
A couple of blokes, like, you know how you said at Bundoora how guys just line up to take me down, and like it's a real badge of honour because you got a bit of a profile. You feel like it's the same way with you. There'll be a couple of guys flexing that they got you, I think, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You
Probably
got done
not
by some big influencer kind of names, I reckon.
Probably not anymore. I reckon that there'd be some people that would reckon, oh, there's that flog from the podcast. How about like it's good to smack him up? I mean, I would think like that too. If I was going past, it'd be like, how about this flog? Always talk shit about us or our club or whatever. Training group. My mate got copped it the other week. I'm going to beat him up for you.
Do you want to go through the results now while we're on Ballarat, and then we don't have to cover that later on?
Yeah, we can do that.
Logan Janetsky got the win, 45-24. First AV Open win, wouldn't it?
First AV win, yeah. So good on him. Good on Logan. I'm sure that'll be the first of a ton.
Yeah, good kid too. Yeah.
He'll chalk up over 10 wins, I reckon, AV wins.
He was 6 seconds in front of Harry Norman in 45-31 and Benjamin Stevens from Ballarat. That's a breakthrough for him too, 45-49 to be on the podium. So, first podium. Only 3 people under 46 minutes. I saw the results before I saw your Strava weather, and I just assumed that it must have been super windy when I saw those finishing times. Yeah, because they're kind of slow compared to what they usually are.
Well, I think what happens is Ballarat, it's a bit of a nothing race in terms of 15K PB. No one really cares about 15K PB. It's on a Sunday. People are missing a long run. So they go, okay, we'll go up, do a bigger warm down, bigger cool down, and we'll do a tempo through the run. We'll get points for our club. But I just don't think a lot of people go all out here.
Yeah.
It's not even certified. Like, I had a look, Moose. There's not many people that actually registered 15K on their Strava.
No, it always comes a little short, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or spot on.
So,
yeah.
So it's not certified then, I take it.
Well, hold that question because Lisa Waitman did run. She ran 48-41. Amy Robinson was second in 50-51 and Sarah Klein third in 50-58. South Melbourne got the win in the women's 70, Sandringham 92 and Melbourne Uni 164. The men's results, as Moose said before, Western A's 121, Geelong 175, Glen Huntley 220. But there was something, I reckon, I'm just trying to find a post from Lisa Waitman now where, was it some kind of Australian record? Or close to it?
I think it was close to it, but like, I don't know. I've never heard of Ballarat being certified, and like any certified race that I know of, everybody's getting at least that distance on their GPS. It's always measuring long.
Yeah, so Izzybat Doyle has the Australian best of 48-22. So what's that, 19 seconds behind that. So even if it is within 100 metres, she's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
It's good to see Lisa in an AV race.
Yeah.
Big name to be getting around.
Pardon?
Big name to be getting around Ballarat Lake on a Sunday morning for Athletes Victoria.
Yeah. A few people saw her in the warm-up, come back to the tent. Oh, see, Lisa's here. You see Lisa running around, rah, rah, rah. So, yeah, creates a bit of a stir when you've got someone, 4-time Olympian, rolling around. Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, Sunny Coast Half Marathon next weekend for her too, I think. Which is Australian Champs Sunday.
She's going to... I was surprised to see her run hard in a 15K a week before the half. Especially when it's not quite like it doesn't seem like she's part of that Melbourne Uni team trying to win a premiership or something. But it'll be, I guess you need a rust buster before you go for your A race, I guess.
Yeah, see how it looks next weekend when we recap that one. Croaks, what have you been doing?
I don't know, I had a pretty good week in the end. Body wasn't great at the start, and probably by Thursday, I'm just I don't know how many more weeks I can do this, hobbling out of bed and feeling shit for the first 20, 30 minutes of runs. But from Friday onwards, things definitely turned a corner. So kicked off Monday, went to the gym in the morning for an hour or so, and then went out that afternoon around Mulligans for 45 minutes at 4:24s in the Mizuno Sky 8. I think that was my first run in that one. And then Tuesday afternoon, went out to the track and, warm-up felt pretty ordinary, just with my hip, and doing the strides just felt really clunky and a bit restricted. And the session was 10 400s off a minute standing recovery, lap jog, and then a 2K tempo. And look, pace-wise, ended up sort of being pretty decent. So first rep was 73, and then 72, 71, 71, 70, 71, 69, 69, 69, 69. So, pretty good. I wasn't getting, well, put it this way, I wasn't that lactic at the end of it that I'm okay, I'm going to struggle to do a 2K tempo here, but it just felt really clunky. Jogged a lap in just over 2 minutes, and then the 2K tempo was quite encouraging. I ran 6:26 for the 2K, and it actually felt pretty smooth. So, it was probably more when you're warming up for sessions and you're just sore and you're just not moving properly. It's really hard to sort of get motivated. But then, the whole idea of these quicker sessions at the moment is to actually run faster and try and improve that aspect of my running. So look, it was a tick. I'd love those 70s and 69s to feel a bit easier than what they do. But I guess that's just, I don't know, a factor of being almost 44, and that part of your running is going to deteriorate more than your strength. So anyway, that was Tuesday. Wednesday, chucked on the Neo Vistas for an hour 45. So I've had a couple of lighter Wednesdays and lighter weeks. So I'm going to start to sort of ramp the mileage up a little bit more. So I did 25.5K at 4:07s on the Wednesday. Thursday went out with Lily, so she was on the bike, just did 10K, 4:19s. And this was a run where, after work, my hip was just not feeling very good at all. And I was just I don't know how long I can keep doing this. But then Friday afternoon, I spent a bit more time just moving around. So one thing I've worked out is if I actually do some, mobility work and don't sort of just get straight off the couch and go for a run, the hip and back is a lot better. So I did a fair bit of that. And then, Friday afternoon, the weather was actually all weekend, the weather has been amazing. It's for Canberra, we've been having maybe 14 degrees, sunny, no wind. And so, we had a group of 4 of us out at Mulligans. So guy that I coach in Sydney, Alex, he was down for the weekend for, a bit of a training camp and a bit of a weekend away. So he joined us. So we did that Mulligans tempo again, but rather than breaking it up into reps with jog recovery, we just did a straight 40 minutes. So there was myself, Alex, and Zach that were together for a big chunk of it. Zach sort of dropped off after maybe 8K, and then Alex and myself finished together. So ended up averaging 3:25s for just over 11.5K. It's not super hilly. It's got, it's 140 146 meters of elevation, which is it's not super hilly, but it's on a dirt trail, which is obviously slower than if you were on a road. And it's probably the smoothest I've felt in the last 3 weeks. Like I finished that session going, I could do another 10 minutes, 15 minutes at this pretty comfortably. So that was a good sign. And my hip felt good warming up, felt good during the session. So that was Friday. We had a couple of beers after that, and then went straight into the recording of the daily podcast. Saturday, because I guess Alex hasn't run much in Canberra, so I thought rather than go sort of Mulligans all weekend, I'd show him a few other sort of Canberra runs. So we met at the AIS track Saturday morning and did sort of a loop that all of the, I guess, old timers that when the AIS used to have like a track and field scholarship program. It was sort of one of their main sort of loops that they would do as like recovery runs, or sometimes they'd throw in like a bit of a tempo through there. So that was just under 15K at 4:17s, about 200 meters of climbing there. Went out to Mulligans again with Alex that afternoon for just over 30 minutes, 4:24s. And then we went down to Ainslie for a long run. And I don't reckon I've done a long run in Ainslie or around Mount Ainslie for a couple of years. Just lazy and just keep going to Mulligans. But the good thing about Ainslie is you can definitely get a lot more elevation. And I was doing a fair bit around here before I ran 2:17, just because it is hillier. So I did 2 hours 18, 33.5K, 4:09s with just over 600 meters of elevation. And the one thing that stood out for me on this run was how good my legs felt at the back end, and which I'm not sure if it's a combination of having done a few more hilly sessions recently or the gym work. But if anything, it was probably more the, like there's a few periods there where I felt a bit maybe glycogen depleted. So I took 90 grams of carbs on for the whole run. But I think if I'd had more carbs, then I would have felt like really good the whole time. But my legs still felt pretty good at the end of that. So solid week in the end, 139, just under 140K for the week with 1,600 meters of climbing.
He's getting strong, Moose. How's your confidence? Like, I feel like after Bundoora, you would have been thinking you're going to clean him up at Melbourne in 10 weeks' time, but the 15K result and then into here in Croaks getting stronger.
Mate,
hurt you a bit?
Croaks around Canberra on a Sunday morning cannot be beaten.
No.
Like, he's unbeatable.
Yeah, even in the Brooks Ghost Moose. That was my Sunday run shoe.
You wore that again.
So your man Alex, though, what sort of athlete? What's his 10K PB?
31 high. Yeah.
All right. So you haven't taken him round for 4:09s through the mountains, blowing his socks off. Never.
No, he's fine. He's 2:28 for the marathon. So no, he was fine. When we sort of stopped a few times to regroup on the hills, because if you have a look at the profile, you can see that we chucked a few from sort of 8K through to like 22K was probably like the real chunky sort of hills. And so anytime we sort of get to the top of one, we just stop and regroup for everybody.
Regroup means that you get a rest and the slow runners don't get a rest.
Yeah, I guess so.
That is exactly how it works, and that's the way it will work forever.
Yeah. Anyway, it was good. It was a good training week, and body's like my hips definitely starting to feel better. Like even getting out of bed in the morning, it's not as sore, and it doesn't stay for as sore as long. And the morning runs are much better than what they've been the last few weeks.
Good to hear. That's good. 10 weeks to go, Bradley, for you. Moose, your entry got sorted as well. Nike come through with the goods?
I haven't got it yet, but
okay.
I've got the offer of it. I've got the confirmation that I will receive access to an entry.
So you two have never raced the same marathon together?
I did Melbourne the year, so was it 2016? I did Melbourne to get a time for Berlin.
But no, like seriously, you guys have never gone head to head in a marathon?
No. I don't think we haven't raced that. We haven't gone head to head in much ever.
I can't wait to see this result. I'm shattered I'm going to be in Chicago. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. just to watch this.
I can't compete with this.
Get on the tracker. No, don't downplay it now, mate. Don't downplay it 10 weeks out.
Mate, I'm I'm an old man and have never represented Australia.
Yeah.
You've been training like a pro athlete the last 20 years of your life.
Oh, mate, big difference between 38 and 44.
It'll be a fascinating listen. I'm going to whistle through this week, boys. Monday, 16K, 424s. Some rare pop in the legs for a Monday. I'm usually not quicker than 440s on a Monday, so I'm not sure why, because I come off a pretty decent long run on the Sunday. And then 8K on my Strava. Can you see that photo of that aeroplane? I was out just jogging, 8K, 424s, and there was I got this information later, but there was an unmarked black C-130 Hercules flying really low, like just over Echuca Moama, just going up and down. Like, pretty impressive to see it in the air, but also kind of freaked out a bit because you're like, that's not really meant to be there. So I did whatever.
What is that, like a fighter plane?
Oh, like bigger. I'd say like a big, I don't know, like army kind of plane, I guess, would carry like troops. Mate, I'm probably butchering this. I've got no knowledge. But when you got no knowledge, what you do is you get home, you go on Facebook and you log onto the Echuca Moama community page just to see what everyone's saying in there. And a few people had some photos up, a couple of conspiracies about chemtrails, invasions, all those kind of things. But we didn't get to the bottom of it. Still don't know why it was going up and down over Echuca Moama when I was out jogging on Monday afternoon, but that's what happened. Tuesday, got out for a workout, 5x3K, around about 3:16 average. This felt good. Off 2 minutes really slow jog in between. Tested out a new super shoe, trying to figure out how it feels at different paces and stuff. So I'm looking forward to putting a few more Ks in it to be able to do a bit of feedback on it. To see how I think it could be a potential player for Chicago, but I want to do way more workouts in it to be able to figure that out. In the afternoon, I ran 7K at 4:52 pace. Wednesday, got out for an hour 50, 4:11 pace. Like getting into croaker territory here, Moose. Didn't look at my pace the whole time, did an hour 50, saved it at the end of my run, and then 4:11. So I was like, something's happening this week. I've been feeling good.
What were you listening to?
I was listening to like an old playlist of songs. I'm going to say like early 2000, sorry. Like just some crackers in there. If you've been listening to the daily, some of those songs that are coming as intro and outro songs, they were definitely on the playlist there.
Your playlist, or they're just random playlists?
No, so I just go so I'm still running with that Mighty thing, Croaks. You know, the thing that syncs up with your Spotify?
Yeah, mine died real quick.
Yeah, it's such a good thing. So just it's a tiny iPod, nano size thing, I suppose. And it just syncs up with your Spotify, so you don't have to carry your phone. I know I can do it on my watch as well, but this is just as simple. And there's just playlists on Spotify, so I'd be best of early 2000s, and it'll just have 300 songs in there. So I just sync it with that, and then hit shuffle, and just start running. Some old Blink 182, Ja Rule, Three Doors Down, All Saints. Oh, that was
actually pretty good.
So how performance enhancing is music then? Because I'm the same, Brady. If I hear some really good tunes, it's very easy to run a fair bit faster.
Yeah, and usually I'd listen to a podcast for the first hour to settle and then go to tunes, but I just went tunes from the start. Just trying to see what my heart rate average was here too, Croaks, to give you a bit more data about how performance enhancing it is. Because it felt pretty, it didn't feel like I was working. Just felt smooth. I was very surprised when I got in my driveway. Yeah, heart rate average 138. Yeah, it's not too bad. So that was Wednesday morning. Wednesday arvo, I got out for an easy 6.5K at 440s. Thursday, just did 70 minutes before school. It was really cold, average 4:33 pace. And then we had our athletic sports at school for the day. So they put me on the sprints, boys. I was a starter on the 100-metre sprints. So I just was blowing the whistle the whole day. About, I'm going to say 200 kids probably raced off throughout the day. A bit tired being on my feet all day. And then 7K in the afternoon. Excuse me?
How many false starts?
Yeah, were you ruthless?
A few.
A few red cards?
No red cards or anything like that. Just when they go, you just kind of let them go and pull them back and remind them that it's just school athletics day. Don't try to jump the gun. Good fun though. Good fun. Good to see kids active and stuff like that. Friday, 18K with strides in the morning, 7K after school at 4:34s. And then Saturday, I did my long run workout because Sunday we had the local Run Echuca Moama on, and I knew I wouldn't be able to, get a long run done because I'd be, working kind of thing for most of the morning. So I did a pretty easy one for the first long one. I did 2 by 12K at 95% my goal marathon pace with 1K float between. So I was trying to sit around like 3:26 pace for the 12Kers. It came pretty easy, this one. I floated the K in between in 3:43. Got 90 grams of precision down, like just one of the big pouches. Heart rate average was 156. Beautiful day, no wind, probably like 5 or 6 degrees. Bit of a 5K warm up, 4K cool down as well to get it to 34K for the morning. So yeah, it was. I think you've said it before, Moose. There's nothing easier than the first marathon pace workout or something like that.
Well, that wasn't even marathon pace.
I know. So this is even easier. So
yeah,
it was a good way to get just some mileage in as well, like knocking out 34K in the morning and pretty kind of time efficient. So that was good.
You reckon it's hard, like too easy, that one?
Yeah, I do. But I had I was spinning the plate of organising this fun run on Sunday. So that was where most of my attention was for the weekend. And I was just like, I want something that's going to be long in duration, not going to cause me too much stress, bit of an introduction to marathon pace work 11 weeks out. So yeah, definitely. And that's why, my perceived effort was pretty easy and my heart rate data was pretty good. And it didn't knock me for 6 that I had to then chill out all afternoon on the couch. Like I could go and we were spray painting arrows on the course and kind of setting up all that stuff that you can't set up on the morning. We do on the Saturday afternoon. Yeah. And I had plenty of energy to do that, which was good. And then I did run 4K in the Arvo just to pick up my car. My parents were up here at one of the holiday resorts and Hudson was down there and my car was down there. So I had to jog down and get that. So
4K?
Sincere apology for doing a run that was less than 30 minutes, Julian.
You couldn't have added on 5 more minutes? What do you run? How long did that take?
No, I had shit to do. It took me like 18 minutes. Had to get Hudson, get him home. Had some people visiting from the UK, so they weren't far away. So just had to get stuff done. And it was a big morning as it was. Already hit 34K. And then boys, Run Echuca Moama Sunday morning. Got up at 4:30 a.m. Got on the motorbike. Started setting up the course. Beautiful. 700 people there. No issues. Everyone went the right way. Everyone's watches measured the correct distance. So good to see so many people running in my hometown. Met a couple of listeners, boys, that come up after listening to me talk on the podcast to do the local fun run. So that was good. Traffic management.
How much did they pay you to do that as the ambassador?
I'm a volunteer role, Julian. The only people we pay are the hardest people to deal with on the day. And do you know who that is from someone who's worked in events before?
Traffic and council?
Traffic management. They are the traffic management and dickheads that local dickheads who there'd be a road closed. So cones across the road and the metal signs that say road closed. I watched this one guy drove up to there, moved the cones, drove his car through, and then all these other cars thought, oh, we can drive through there because this guy's driven through. And then I'm yelling at people, chasing this guy down on my little scooter thing to tell him to get out. Because he drove into a part of the course where they kind of go down for a 3K loop and there's only one way in, one way out. So I knew if he was down there, he would have been, swamped by runners. So I've been growing the beard out the last couple of weeks just to try and look a bit more intimidating because I knew I'd have a couple of issues with traffic management people and people who just ignore traffic signs and stuff.
So,
pardon?
Shaving your head too?
Shave that, yeah. Just trying to look a bit rougher, a bit older than 18, just to flex a bit of authority around the local streets. So it was a good day. I think we raised about $50,000 for charity in the end. So, next year, boys, book it in. Book it in. I reckon you too. Maybe get you on a payment. Might be able to have some budget next year for some influencers in the running space to come up and get the win.
Folks ain't showing up for less than $1,000.
Oh, I know that. That'd be a bargain too, getting him for $1,000, I reckon.
Depends what happens at Melbourne.
Do you pay paces, Brady?
We do not pay paces. You could win at Croaks, I reckon. It was one in an hour 19 for the men and an hour 26 for the women. And then the 10K, John Cox and Callie Dix, they were the people visiting from the UK. They won at 40.14 and 41.39. So not the most competitive races in the world, but I think that will come as the crowds get bigger and bigger in the next couple of years, hopefully. That's my week. Should we quickly thank some Patreon supporters before we... Oh, I did 100 and something. What did I do? 176K with a day off.
6 days.
6 days.
Never listened to it.
And that was off like 35k on the Sunday. So I think it was 211k's in 7 days.
Must be nice having that time up your sleeve.
Must be nice.
What time is it? 4:30's early.
4:30 a.m. is early. And like,
work 4:30.
I'm going to be cooked in 2 or 3 days' time. So like, we've started a daily podcast. I've organised or helped organise a fun run, and I've ran 210k's in 7 days. Like, it's quite stupid because you look at, like, your body doesn't know where the stress is coming from, and there are 3 pretty stressful things that we've undertaken in the last couple of days. So I've got to be really careful. That's why I didn't run it all Sunday, because I'm like, don't even go out here chasing K's. Like, respect that you've been busy all morning. So
You just chased all the Ks earlier in the week.
yeah, 100%. Well, I work from home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's where I can bank some Ks before life gets hectic with school and
work from home.
And other stuff going on. Pardon?
Work from home, you mean? How do you teach from home?
No, I do my other jobs from home.
Oh, other jobs.
Run to PB, mate, one of Australia's premier online coaching businesses, and the Inside Running podcast. You know how many messages I send every day to plan this daily show? It's a big job, more than that. A lot of back and forth. Zaka sends me a good 20 messages every day about sponsorship stuff and partnerships. There's a lot going on. You know there's a lot going on. You're in the same message groups. Let's move on, Croaks. Thanks some Patreon supporters while I get our guest organised.
All right, so I'm giving a shout out to Claire Haig from Kirribilli, which is a suburb north side of the Harbour Bridge in Sydney. Strava's locked down, but appears to be a regular at the Willoughby Park Run. Has a best 5K time of 18:04 at the Rhodes Park Run. Has also run 36:32 at last year's Sydney 10 and 90 minutes at the 2022 Canberra Half Marathon. So thanks for your support, Claire, and well done on some of those swift PBs.
Good on you, Claire. Who you got, Moose?
Yep, I've got Panache Devchand from Perth. Strava's locked down as well. Gee, a bit of privacy going on, isn't there? Privacy issues around our Patreon supporters. No one wants to see what's the training. They don't want anyone to see what they're doing. But Panache appears to be a regular at Corinne Glades Park Run with a best time of 24:27. Has also run 1:47 at the 2019 Perth City to Surf Half Marathon and 3:54 at the 2019 Perth Marathon. Now, Panache is a senior associate at Herbert Smith Freehills, which is a law firm.
Yeah,
so another high flyer.
That's why Panache doesn't want people to know where they're running.
Yeah, that's actually fair call.
Big job, big title.
They're a regular at that park run. So if you want to meet Panache, head down to Corinne Glades most Saturday mornings.
You can blame that race. You know that link, Brady, the Race View Net or something. Yeah.
Race View website. It's a good website, that one. You can see all your running history, every result that's ever been on the internet. They collated in the one spot. Thanks, Panache, for your support. I'm going to thank Tim Morland from Melbourne. Has run 17:01 at this year's Tracksmith's Tracked 5K. 35:41 at last year's Albert Park 10K, 79:33 at this year's Launceston Half Marathon, and 2:58 at the 2022 Melbourne Marathon. He trains with the Pulse Group. He's done well there to tick off significant PBs, like gone sub 3, gone sub 80, or he's just missed 5K, 17:01. So massive thanks, Tim, for your support of the Inside Running Podcast. If you like what we do at the Inside Running Podcast, you can help keep the show alive for as little as $5 a month. And also, if you love hearing bonus content, this is the month to sign up. Every single night throughout the track and field program, we are doing a daily podcast episode. We've done 3 or 4 episodes now, Croaks. 3, 4?
3. We
Fourth tonight.
Friday. Yeah, we've done 3. Yeah.
So 3. So deep analysis into the results, some good stories there, some real experts. Jeff Risley and Ali Pashley were on last night. The night before that, Benita Willis joined Moose and Croaks. Benita was great too, wasn't she?
Yeah, very good.
And then Luke Matthews, Chris O, Jordan Donnelly, me and Croaks on Friday night. That was a big show. And I think Luke Matthews was probably 8 beers deep when he was on the line. He wasn't mucking around too much. So really good content. Not too much fence sitting, which I'm liking. People putting out really good opinions. So Patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast if you want more details of those. You can also call up the show. That's been fun. And after that finishes off, we'll be rolling into Road to Chicago. So more details about that in the next few weeks. We are very lucky here, boys, because thanks to ASICS, we have a friend of the show, Sam Hopper, who is a running expert in recreation and sports marketing from ASICS Oceania team. He's a good friend of the show. He was the star of the Road to Gold Coast podcast series for our Patreon supporters a few weeks ago. And a massive thanks for ASICS to make him available. How are you, Hopper?
G'day, Brady. I'm good, thanks. Good to be back on the show with you guys.
And you joined us from Adelaide. It's it's not uncommon for you to be in a different spot.
Yeah. I'm down here doing a few demo runs with a few groups and stores. So it's been nice to run in such a flat city. The running infrastructure here is pretty unreal. So yeah, I've enjoyed getting out each day with different groups.
Well, that's good.
Sam, I saw on your Strava, you said something about Adelaide being the perfect running city.
Yeah.
Now, that's a ridiculous comment. I think what's happening is that you've lived in Sydney too long, which is the worst running city possibly in the world. And so you're just a little bit sort of jaded. Like you don't have a good appreciation of what something like a city like Melbourne can offer.
No, I do like going to Melbourne for work as well because I love running along the Yarra and around the Tan. But yeah, you're right with Sydney. It's pretty unmotivating to get out the door there, especially if you live near the bridge. It's extremely hilly. So yeah, I've enjoyed just running around the parks here. Like the city's a real grid system here, so it's quite easy to get to the parklands that surround the CBD. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. Good weather as well.
Yeah, it is good weather. Sam, your energy levels, all things running, are usually pretty high. I can imagine when the Olympics and track and field programs on, they're even higher at the moment. Like, give us a rating of the froth levels at the moment for the Olympics.
Oh, very high. The only thing I'm struggling with is the time zone. So I'm trying to wake up and not go on Instagram straight away because there's a few spoilers there. I've got a bit of a backlog on your recap episodes as well. So when I was on my lunchtime run just now, I just listened to the one with Risley and Ellie. And it was quite funny having watched the 1,500 metre semis and then listening to their predictions for it after they'd actually happened. So I enjoyed listening to Risley. He was definitely not a fence sitter. He had some really good opinions on Stewie and Ollie. So yeah, now worth signing up as a Patreon if you're not. If you're
Thanks,
listening.
Sam. That's good to hear. He was a bit worried this morning. He was like, "Well, maybe I went a bit too hard." And we're like, "No, mate, it's muzzle free on this show. Just go as hard as you want." So we've got him unleashed, which is good. Are you do you have your eyes set on like the ASICS athletes even more as well when they're at Paris? Like you keep an eye on who's representing the brand pretty well over there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like with my role at ASICS, I'm majorly just focusing on the running side of things, but I'm still trying to keep up to date with our field athletes, well, not just ASICS sponsored ones, but all Australian field athletes. But yeah, it's been pretty good for ASICS. Straight off the cuff, Jemima Montag got a bronze, which was really exciting. I admit I didn't actually watch the coverage of that one, but when I was on the treadmill last night, I watched Sarah Carley's 400 metre hurdle. So yeah, it's been good. I guess it's good watching the heats in the evening, and then if you're willing to wake up really early, you can watch the finals early hours. But yeah, I'm pretty much just watching those on a replay.
And are they in like prototypes and stuff as well? Like, or is everyone just in like stock standard stuff? Or is it maybe for the bigger name marathoners later to come?
Obviously with the World Athletics rules, they'll be in models that have been available to purchase for that window of time. They're just all in the celebration of sport colour, so that sort of fluorescent yellow into a bit of orange that you've probably seen mostly on the Metaspeed racing shoes. But yeah, with the track spikes, they're all in that same pack and they're able to be purchased, those spikes.
Hard to get your hands on some though, Moose. Like we saw the Super Blast 2 come out a couple of weeks ago. Like tricky stuff? Like, is stock here, Sam? Everyone makes a joke that like ASICS don't need to advertise the Super Blast because it just sells out anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny with doing demo runs or wear tests because I've got a very limited size run of the Super Blast 2s, and pretty much every time I do one of these wear tests, someone makes a joke about just nicking off with them because they're so hard to get. But yeah, with the Super Blast 2, obviously only the Paris colour has come out so far, but in I think 3 weeks, the 1st of September, I think 2 new colours come out on that date. So yeah, there should be plenty of stock for people to get their hands on those. Yeah, I know when we were up at Gold Coast was the date that they actually dropped. I think it was the 5th of July. So I was up real early in the morning buying a pair of those before I went and did a demo run. So yeah, they are coming back into stock. There are still a few sizes flown around ASICS stores and specialty stores at the moment, but nothing on our website.
Yeah. And what about like the back end of 2024? Any exciting other drops to come other than the Super Blast?
Yeah, there's if you've been a fan of the Glide Ride model in the past, there is an exciting update to that shoe coming out. I think that's in October. And we've got a new trail racing shoe coming out at the end of this month, which is going to be exciting to see on our trail athletes.
Sam, what's the update to the Glide Ride? Because I liked that one. I quite liked how it was had a nice rocker to it.
Oh,
it was
you and me
quite,
both, Croaks.
quite stiff.
Yeah, so I won't name the model because I believe it's under embargo still, but it will have a plate in it like the previous one, and it has the two updated foams in it and an updated outer. So the outer we see on a few models that are out at the moment. But yeah, I've been jogging in a sample or a proto pair of them recently, and yeah, I admit I'd never really run in the Glide Ride range before working at ASICS, but I've thoroughly enjoyed doing some easy runs in this prototype. And yeah, with that rocker, it's a really pronounced rocker, so it makes running very smooth.
Yeah, offloads the calf, doesn't it, Moose? So like good for like post-workout days.
The previous one definitely did. I think this current one does feel like that too. I've got a prototype of it, or not a prototype, but I think I have an early product, like a sample of it, and it's a different feel to the ones that you guys have. It's a lot softer underfoot in my from how I perceive it, a lot softer, earlier stage rocker. So we noticed that the foot rolls a lot earlier in the gait. I found it a lot better at slower paces, this shoe. I found the last one a little unstable at slower paces. This one here feels very good for me at that recovery pace.
Interesting. Is that your email going, Moose? It's done that about 5 times tonight. Do you reckon you can mute that somehow? Is that you, Croaks?
No, it's not me.
Anyway, what about Sam, the Nova Blast 2? Is that like the... I quite enjoy it, but I feel like it's just underrated and just doesn't get the hype that, I guess, because it's like the poor cousin to the Super Blast. Would that be a fair comparison?
Yeah, I guess. Oh, that will be getting an update very soon.
Sorry,
as well.
we're up to 4. Did I say 2?
Yeah, I think Nova Blast 4.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Nova Blast 4. But yeah, that's just to add on the exciting updates. That'll be getting an update towards the end of the year. So I've also been jogging in an early sample of that, which is, yeah, I've really enjoyed that shoe. But yeah, I guess if you have a shoe rotation, that's where you can sometimes use, say you use the Super Blast 2, you might use that in replacement of where other people might use the Nova Blast. I think like the Nova Blast 4 is an extremely versatile shoe because it's so lightweight, has a pretty high stack height, and is a really fun, bouncy shoe. So some people might just buy one shoe for everything, and they could race in the Nova Blast or could warm up and cool down in it or use it for their easy days. But yeah, I think you do see quite a lot of people that do wear ASICS using it for those easy days if they want to feel, I guess, a little bit lighter on the foot, run a little bit faster towards the end of their run if they've got strides and things like that. think that's where it kind of sits in your rotation.
Some people find the Super Blast a bit too bulky as well. Like it's just too much shoe underfoot, like a bit of a boat. And the Nova Blast has a narrower footprint. It's got a little bit more almost curve through the midfoot. You just don't have that bigger footprint underneath, like the bigger profile on the ground. And some lighter people don't want that. Even heavier people, sometimes they don't really want to look down and see these big paddles, which occasionally the Super Blast can feel like. Nova Blast, like I know Bree much prefers the Nova Blast because of that reason.
Yeah, okay.
It's more durable as well.
Yeah, it's better on like rocky trails and stuff, wouldn't it, than the foam of the Super Blast?
I'd say, well, the Super Blast 2 uses a rubber called ASICS grip, which is the same as both Metaspeed models, and it's also the same rubber we use in all our trail shoes. So that's probably one of the biggest updates, I think, in the Super Blast 2 is the addition of that rubber. So it's really tacky, it's really grippy. If you go on off the road onto any, I guess, fire trails or any gravel paths. Whereas the Nova Blast has a really low density or a softer rubber. So that's why that feels like such a soft shoe in comparison.
Hey, Sam, I have a Whispers segment on the podcast each and every week. You know that. You can choose not to comment, but I got one across my desk that ASICS may be signing a very big name in Australian distance running potentially soon. Got any teasers, any announcement dates or anything like that?
I'm going to choose not to comment, but obviously, we like to look at athletes that align well with the brand and what the brand's ethos is. So, yeah, hopefully in the future we'll be able to see a big name being signed.
Okay, played around that one well, boys. What about for the rest of the year, Sam? What do you got coming up run-wise? Melbourne Marathon still on the cards?
Yeah, I've got an entry into that. So I think it's ticked over 10 weeks. So I've entered a few races in the lead up to that. So I'm going to come down to Melbourne for the Grand Prix race at Albert Park. So I'm keen to do the half marathon there. So that's 3 weeks out from the race. And then the week before that, I'm working at the Sydney Marathon because it's one of the ASICS major events for the year. So I'll try and jump in the 10K just as a bit of a hit out. So I can't imagine I'll be running too fast, but the course update's pretty exciting for that. I think it starts up near St. Leonard's Park in North Sydney. So it's a really massive downhill onto the Harbour Bridge. So hopefully that'll help if I've been standing at the expo for a couple of days.
Just to loosen up a bit. Boys, any more questions for him before we let him go? Good to hear he's racing a bit more coming up, Croaks.
Yeah, also heard you just signed with AH Elite.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, well, race for them on the weekend.
I love that.
Yes.
AH Elite are a real throwback to this show.
Yeah, how much they pay you? Big signing fee?
They paid for my entry. So for some context, I was down doing a demo run with Runners One on Friday morning. So I did that, went to Sportitude, one of the big specialty stores down here, and was talking to a bunch of the runners there. And I said, I'll come along and watch the South Australian Ekiden Relay tomorrow morning. And then one of them, Tom Dowd, he said, well, do you want to jump in and race for one of our teams? Because they had someone that had pulled out with a femoral stress fracture. And I thought, this is a bad omen if I'm covering someone that's had the same injury that I had last year. But they signed me up, and I ended up jumping in and threw the wings up mid-lap when Adrian Potter was warming up. They had a good laugh at that. I ran for the day for Adelaide Harriers, so AH Elite. I actually went back and had a look at a few of the reels that they made a few years ago before Moose was going to World Champs.
Yeah, they were the kings of memes.
They were so good.
Remember the one they did with Craig Mottram, boys? This is like episode like 50, 60. They were like heaps good runners before like that. Yeah, they were the OG boys over there in Adelaide.
Yeah, they did some good stuff.
They did some great stuff back then. All right, Sam, a massive thanks for ASICS for making you available tonight. Always a good brand and a relationship with the show, and hearing people like you working for them must be doing good things. So all the best with the races coming up and all the exciting things with ASICS.
Awesome. Thanks, Brady. Thanks, boys. And I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks,
See you,
mate.
Sam.
Safe travels. Let's go to running news, boys. We'll kick things off. Croaks, do we want to go in order of distance, like 800s, 15s, then a bit of 5K and steeple stuff?
Yeah, I reckon let's do that.
Let's do it. You can go first with the 800s. I'll do the 1500s. Moose, you can do the 5Ks, steeple.
All right. Well, I might just look at each athlete individually and just sort of give their results and what ended up happening to them. So we'll start with Cat Bisset. Unfortunately, she didn't qualify through the heats for the semi-final, so had to go to the repechage. So she ran 2:01.6 in the heat. Sort of tactically was not at her best. Like, was in a good spot early, and then sort of got filed back at the bell, and then down the back straight got clipped. So she went through to the repechage and unfortunately didn't get through to the semi. She ran 2:02.35 and once again just got caught up in traffic, had to go like diagonally across down the home straight. Not the result I'm sure Kat was after at the Olympics. We'll go Abby Caldwell next. So she ran a really good heat, I thought. So she ran 158.49 to finish fifth, which was only 100th of a second off her PB. And like the only criticism for that heat run was probably like just too aggressive from 200 to go to 100 to go. She sort of had to go around a fair few runners out in sort of lane two, I suppose. Looked really strong, but I think that acceleration maybe hurt her down the home straight. So then she had to back up the next day. She won her repechage, running 2 flat. And then she backed up in the semi, finishing fifth in 158.52. And look, I thought she had a really great semi-final. Like I don't think she could have done anything more than that. And to run 158.52 for your third 800 in 3 days, I thought was very good. Your guys' thoughts on Abby?
Yeah, like the only tiny criticism is a tiny mistake when she just passed on the bend in that first one, which could have maybe avoided her going to the repechage. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, repechage, yeah.
Yeah, that word. I don't want to hear that word after these Olympics ever again. She's had a great campaign, probably just a bit unlucky.
Yeah. Did you say semi?
Fifth in the semi, 158.52. And she, like, as I was running, I was trying to, like, I knew the results before I watched. So it's not the best way to watch those races, but you start to think, oh, okay, so I know she didn't make it, and you just look for any type of mistakes or opportunities that you can see in hindsight, and it's not very fair on the runner. But they run, her and Claudia both ran from the back of the pack, and you go through that 400 to go, and instead of being like you having to run 0.2 seconds quicker than the leader to win the race, you're having to run a second quicker. And it's a big difference running a 60 versus a 61 or a 59 versus a 60 at that point. So it's difficult to come around 7 people to win a race. But she's run 158.52.
Yeah, like 10th off her PB for the third race in 3 days.
Running as fast as she can.
Yeah, at the Olympics. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It is the Olympics, and at some point you just have to say, look, there's girls that are better than her. Like, they only take 8 through to the final, which is, there's 8 very, very good girls that are probably 156 runners or faster. So, obviously Australians have really high sort of expectations, and it's like, oh, well, why don't we have somebody in the final? But as I said, I think she basically did everything she could, and was just beaten by better runners on the day. And then if we move to Claudia, like, her heat run was sensational. Like, I don't think I've seen a better tactical 800-meter run from anyone, really. It was like hug the rail, sitting in second all the way through the first lap, and then down the back straight, still in second, gets to like 200 to go, just moves out off the rail a little bit just to protect herself in case she gets, to sort of stop herself from getting boxed in. And then there was a Swiss girl that was trying to sort of run around her on the bend, and she sort of kept her position, making the Swiss girl run really wide and was really strong down the straight. So she finished second in the heat, 158.77. So she didn't have to go through the repechage, had the day off. And then, like her semi-final, she finished seventh in 2:01. The one thing I really noticed when you start getting to the semi-finals of an Olympics, especially in the 800, is, well, one, the cream has risen to the top, and all of those girls want to be in the same position in that first 200 metres, and it was almost like she just struggled to get in the right spot, and then that was probably the difference, and then it was just, she was never really in it after that. But as a 19-year-old, to make the semis in her first Olympics and the way that she ran her first race, you're going to see a lot more of her.
100%, yeah. And it's the same with Abby. Like, she's only 23. That experience she's got over the last week is going to pay huge dividends, hopefully, in 3 or 4 years' time. World Championships, Olympics, Games to come. Then Cat Bisset was the third of the Australian strokes.
I already mentioned Cat.
Oh, sorry, you did.
Yeah,
Got that first.
Yeah. And Cat, obviously pretty disappointing considering that she's our Australian record holder. To bow out like that, sort of straight sets. Do you feel like this could be the last Olympics we see Kat at in the 800?
With Bindiri coming through, well, she was probably the one, wasn't she? That
she'd
was
be
fighting
next
for
in
that
line.
third spot. Yeah.
Well, I think, like she's still the Australian record holder, so I don't know if you can completely write her off. But given like Claudia is probably going to stay in the 800 for a bit longer, Abby potentially could like focus more on the 1500 as she gets a bit older, but this season her 8's definitely been better than a 15 anyway. And then Bendirio Boys, you can't see her moving up to the 15, and I feel like she's probably the one that with another year or two of 800s under her belt and a bit more sort of aerobic conditioning, like she's a girl that I think can really run that sort of 156. I think, and obviously Claudia, because she's only 19, can go a fair bit faster as well. So she might struggle.
And that top end speed from Bindiri.
Yeah.
Like pulling that out with 80 metres to go. 1500 metres, I feel like we've been talking about this for the last 3 or 4 nights because we have. So we're kind of rehashing stuff we've already had conversations about, but we're doing it. Super disappointing. So we didn't have any Australian qualify in the heats. So they all went to the repechage. And Ollie was 13th. And so he was 13th in his heat in 3:39, and then come 5th in the repechage in 3:34. Stewie was 11th in his heat in 3:36, and then 12th in the repechage, and that was in 3:37. And then Adam Spencer was 8th in his heat in 3:37, and then 6th in the repechage, and that was 3:34.4. So on paper there, boys, you're nearly saying that Adam Spencer's had the best campaign out of the three. Obviously doesn't have, well, his PB is pretty close to the other two guys, but doesn't have that championship experience. Disappointing.
I'm not sure you look at it like that. I just say they're all like no one's progressed past the heats or the repechage. It doesn't really matter, does it? Like,
did our expectations for Stewie, and Ollie were higher? That's the kind of point I'm trying to make.
They were for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking that they've all kind of, had similar results, all three of them, whereas I kind of had Ollie and Stewie maybe at least get into the semis and then hopefully the finals.
Yeah.
That was more the point I made. We went into, went through it thoroughly on the Daily Show. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot there, but similar tactics, and Ollie really kind of folded up with 50 metres to go. He looked really good. I knew the result, what you were talking about before, Moose, before I watched it, maybe like 3 or 4 hours after. And as I was watching it, I was like, the boys have got this result wrong. He's made this through. He looked amazing, but I could not get over how much he struggled that last 50 metres and how so many people got past him. And then then Stewie was very similar tactic to the final, to his heat, and just went a touch quicker. And then we've seen it before. People kind of use him as the pacemaker and then just smash him, I suppose, in that last kind of 200 metres.
The thing that surprised me with Stewie, though, is normally when he goes to the front, they don't swarm him as early as they did in that repechage. Like he was pretty much past before the bell. Whereas normally it often happens down the back straight for Stewie. But then, like, if you look at who's made it through to the final, like it just makes you realise how deep world 1500 meter running is at the moment. Like, yeah, outside of like Jakob and Josh Kerr, like they're probably the two standouts, but all of the others, you could almost put like an argument forward as to why they could win a minor medal. Like they've all done something like pretty remarkable in their careers. Like even someone like Hobbs Kessler, like he's still won a global medal on the roads over the mile. So yeah, and like another interesting fact was, so no one from the women's 800 or the men's 15 that went to the repechage made it through to the final. So that's obviously something that people will have to look at in the future, going, well, if you want to be competitive, you can't afford to go through the repechage.
I don't think anyone picked to go through the repechage.
No, well, I know, but it's like, yeah, like you're pretty much, well, I guess do countries then, like if they've got somebody doubling up events, it's like, well, if you don't make it through to the semis straight away, you don't bother with the repechage. Like it could actually bring tactics in like that for countries.
Yeah, maybe it does that. Did you see that one of the hurdlers jogged his repechage because he wasn't quite over an injury yet, and he didn't want to risk it in the first round, so he jogged it in order to give himself an extra 24 hours recovery, and then he'll go through the repechage quite easily.
Yeah,
so he jogged his heat. Sorry,
jogged his heat. Yeah,
jogged his heat, jogged his heat, and so we'll go through the repechage probably as easily as he can, so that he's just padding out the time, until he has to put his hamstring, I think it is, under full load, or like put his injury under pressure.
Actually, it's not a bad move, because you could even look at it, say, in the men's 1500 going, okay, like if you had somebody that was a reasonable favourite to make it through to the final, they jogged the first day knowing that, okay, the repechage should have weaker athletes to get through to the semi. The only downside is you don't get that day off. You then have to run the next day in the semi-final, whereas if you make it through in the heats, you do get a day off, which is an advantage, I think.
I think you'd take the advantage.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. But this guy obviously worked out in his circumstances. You have to follow this repechage. Hopefully he gets through. It'd look pretty silly if he doesn't.
Yeah. As you're tuning in, you're probably gearing up for a race, but how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has you covered with a free online planner to calculate your carb, sodium and fluid needs for peak performance. Their range of fuel and electrolyte products makes it easy to hit your numbers. I swear by their resealable 90-gram gel on all my long runs and recently used it at the Ballarat Marathon. They also fuel top athletes like 4-time Olympian Lisa Waitman, Hayden Hawkes, and a regular guest on the Inside Running podcast, Izzy Bat Doyle. Visit the link in the show notes to personalise your race strategy. Use code INSIDERUN15 for 15% off your first order and support the show. Patrons, use the special code from the Patreon feed in Patreon-only episodes for a further discount of 20% off. Ready to elevate your performance? Click the link now. And now, let's get back to the show. 5K Moose, Rose Davies, Izzy Bat Doyle, Lauren Ryan.
This was a good heat to watch. Two Australians were solid up in that front pack, competing for the win the whole time. The race went out pretty conservative for the first lap or two, and then Izzy Bat Doyle jumped to the front and said, no, it's going to be a 15-minute race basically, or they went through 3K in 9:12, and then it did progress faster. Izzy sat on the front until, I'm going to say, what was it, about 500 to go? Do you guys remember? About 500 when the athletes started to come around her. I still thought she was going to hold on. She looked like she was toughing it out. She ran a 250 last K to run 15:03, but she missed by one spot, which was pretty brutal considering that she basically made that race what it was, and that she did the bulk of the leading. I think that she ran it exactly how she should have for her strengths and give herself the best shot of getting through. The problem was that she was running until that last K, it was only 15:20 pace, wasn't it? So it had to drop, not 15:20 pace, probably 15:10 pace. And you're not going to drop a lot of those girls at 15:10 pace. So you kind of had to have made it quicker. But then this is the Olympics. You're not going to drop people. Like they're just so strong. But she did everything she could. Rose Davies was in third for the majority of the run. She sat back. She never went to the front once. She eyed everything off really well. I don't think she left her comfort zone at all for the entire race by the looks of it. She ran 15 flat, came third, qualified, and I don't think she exerted herself that much. I thought that was that should give her a heap of confidence, and it gives me a lot of confidence that there's a lot left under the surface for Rose come finals day.
Yeah, the big insane kick that we see at Zatapex and Maury Plant 5Ks and things like that, she didn't pull that out at all.
No, she kept it under control. Like, she kept a lid on it, fourth geared it, recognised where she was in the field, got herself through safely, but she didn't show her cards. So very exciting to see what happens in the final. I reckon there could be, we could be seeing an Australian record type performance come out here, because I don't think that front pack is going to let it go slow. I think you're going to get some of those ladies trying to push Kipyegon. Even though she's so fast, you've got to try something. They're not going to let that be slow and her just dominate that last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, I agree, Moose. And looking at the final, Rose has only run faster than 3 girls in that race. So that shows. So there's 16 in the final, and Rose is ranked 13th sort of thing. So all of those, and then the fact that Rose has run 14:41, there's no way it's going to be super slow, because they're all capable of running, 14:40 or faster.
Yeah, it's going to be a great watch. That's one I'll be waking up for, I reckon.
Is it still top 8 gets funding and stuff? That'd be interesting to watch if she can sneak into the top 8, funding through Athletics Australia for the next couple of years. That NAS kind of, it's all categorized differently. Podium potential, all this development. Okay. I don't know what they are exactly. I know that there's categories.
Where I think it'll be great for Rose is it's probably going to go out around her. Obviously you got girls like Kipyegon, 14 minutes, and Segai. So them going out at 14:40 is still quite comfortable, but that's pretty much Rose's PB pace, but she'll have a massive pack at her PB pace. And obviously, those top girls will kick down at the end. But the fact that she'll have a big pack for the majority of the race at her PB pace, she can hopefully kick down off that as well and get into the 14:30s.
Yep, Lauren Ryan also ran 15:29 for 13th in her heat. You guys summarised it well when you spoke about this in detail, about not quite seeing the Lauren Ryan that we were seeing 4 months ago. She's been up for a long time. And then steeple happened. Cara Fan Ryan, she ran a PB. She was 13th in her heat, 9:28. So amazing to be able to run a PB at the Olympic Games, and that's going to do her, massive advantage with this experience going forward, because she's quite young. And Amy Cashin was 9th in her heat, running a time of 9:32, which is about 8 or 9 seconds off her PB. And then the 10K happened. Joshua Cheptegei got the win. This was an amazing race. If you haven't watched this, go watch it. Cheptegei got the win, 26:43. Aragawi was second, the Ethiopian, in 26:43.4. Grant Fisher, the American, got a medal. He ran at 26:43 as well. 13 people sub 27, 3 national records. I think maybe 8 or 9 of them as well were under the old Olympic record. So, amazing race. Stop what you're doing. Put us on pause. Go watch the last K on YouTube, because it's, phenomenal to watch. Cheptegei's peaked at the right time. Got the job done there. Anything else you want to say, boys, before we move on? Go listen to the daily episodes if you want people talking about this stuff for 10 or 15 minutes, because we go into massive detail there.
Yeah, I feel like we're not doing it all that much justice, but that's because there's those episodes we've already spent an hour on every night.
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit burnt out, but I'm trying to get the energy up, knowing that a lot of people listen to this. The other bit of news, we spoke about this on the Daily last night as well. Charlotte Purdue is out of the marathon for GB. Clara Evans comes in. She is the Welsh record holder. She has a PB of 2:25. The 30-year-old has replaced injured Charlotte Purdue for the women's Olympic marathon on Sunday, the 11th of August. Purdue has been ruled out by an ankle injury, which gives Evans a chance to join Kelly Huger Thackeray and Rose Harvey in the final athletics event at Paris. Really sad for Charlotte Purdue. She's never been to the Olympics before. She represented England at the 2009 Com Games. So she's been, an international athlete for a while now. She controversially got left off. And was that 2020, boys? 2000
last Olympics.
Yep. She's maybe their third fastest all time. Yep.
Correct.
Got a PB of 2:22.17. She also had DNFs at the World Championships where you were, Moose, at Doha and Eugene in 2022. Like, very cruel the way things have panned out for her at major championships. Like, not being there, or other times being there and not finishing.
Yeah, this one sounds like she twisted her ankle on a jog or on a run before the Olympics during training, which is always way worse than getting an overuse injury, I think. The acute injury that's pretty much totally out of your control, like rolling an ankle. We've all done that. We haven't made a training-related issue, or we haven't been under fueling, or like it's just this is one where we say bad luck, and I hate using luck. I don't think luck's a big thing, and I think we blame that when we're actually making a lot of errors in our training or whatever in the past. We say, oh, it's bad luck that someone's injured, when it's not. But in this case, it sounds like it's terrible luck for her. And yeah, you really feel for her and any athlete that this happens to, but her especially, because she was left off the Rio Olympics team as well when she qualified running a 10K qualifier, and they left her off the team back then just because of their harsh selection criterias. So she's qualified for 3 Olympics now and hasn't gone and won't be running at any of them. Yeah,
that's terrible news. And obviously has that link to Australia as well. Spends a lot of time here in Australia, coached by Nick Beddoe. Let's go training talk now, Crooks. That's all the Olympics up to date. We're recording this Monday at lunchtime, so stuff's going to happen in the next 24, 48 hours, but we'll talk about that next week's show, or the daily, every single night.
So, yeah, this week we're doing training talk instead of listen to question, and the training talk segment is powered by ASICS. So the question or the issue that we're going to discuss is a 2-week taper versus a 3-week taper for a marathon. Which one do you think works best? And if you do a 2-week taper, is your long run going to be shorter than if you did a 3-week taper? Because for some context, boys, I feel like back in the day, the 3-week taper was probably a bit more traditional, whereas I feel like now a lot of people are pushing that a little bit closer to the race, to 2-week taper. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and a lot depends on how well the block's gone as well. Like if you've been interruption free, I feel like the taper can potentially be longer. Like if you've been up for 12 weeks, everything's gone to plan, hit massive mileage, like you could probably start switching things off 2.5, 3 weeks out. Whereas if you've had an issue and you've missed a bit of training from 8 weeks to 6 weeks out, you've kind of had an forced taper, a little break, and then you might have to chuck some hay in the barn a bit closer to race day.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's always, how do you even know? Like there's so many variables in marathon running that how do you know what to blame or what to credit when you get a result? Say you get a really good result. A lot of people credit like, oh, the training was great, or we got the nutrition right and all this and all that. And if you get it wrong, it's like, oh, well, we messed the taper up and we did too many hard sessions and this and that. But it could just be one of them, or it could be a combination of things. I've always found this concept of like the taper, it's just so hard to assess what's worked and what hasn't. So every athlete is different. You get some real nervous creatures who like to run more often in a taper, and they're not going to like a 3-week taper. That's going to do their head in. By the time they get to race day, they're stressed out, they're bugging out, they're worried that they haven't done enough. And I think mentally, you're better off keeping that athlete running closer to the event. And you dial it back, of course, but maybe not 3 weeks worth. And then you get some maybe more relaxed people that more confident in their training. They're more secure. They're not as psychotic about feeling like they have to do every single run possible before the race. And physically, that athlete's probably going to be better off backing off a bit earlier. And so I tend to, this is weird, but 2.5 weeks, that's sort of when I start to reduce. And that 2 weeks to go workout, that long run, that's going to be reduced from what a normal long run would be. But 3 weeks to go, I still put in a decent long run. So it's somewhere in that 2 to 3 week range. It's not automatically 3. It's not automatically 2.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle for me.
So good point, Moose. Like the thing I would say between the 2 and 3 week taper is I think you can probably get away with a 2 week taper, but you definitely want to err on side of caution for that weekend long run 2 weeks out. Like that needs to not go overboard, whereas 3 weeks out you can still do something pretty meaty, I feel, whereas you can probably ruin your race if you go too big 2 weeks out.
Yeah, 2 weeks out's a danger time, I reckon. I reckon people are really starting to look for how fit they are. They're really starting to want to prove to themselves. They're starting to think about what pace they should go out at in a race, and they want a little bit of backup from their training to show them that they're bloody fit. And so that 2 week out run, that can give it to them if they go and fire that up. And then they come out, they still got to work out Wednesday, and so they want to fire that as well. Yeah, all of a sudden it's a bit of a danger.
So like for me, if somebody's doing a 3 week taper and that's their last big long run, like that could be 36K, like a real big one. Whereas 2 weeks out, like I'm probably not going more than 30, like if there's a bit of like marathon pace stuff in there, like that sort of 2 hours, just over, around 2 hours, 2 weeks out.
And that 3 week out run, recover from it well. Like that's where the taper can start off. Like the recovery from that 3 week out big long run kicks off the taper. You do
which could be 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's less mileage, it's less intensity. Maybe you push out that workout an extra day. You reduce a double, whatever. That could be the instigator. That could be like the spike in your training. For everything after that, we sort of taper off.
Good chat though, and you bring up the really good point, Moose, about like we try to put rules on things. About, rules with nutrition, rules with taper, rules with when you do your dress rehearsal workout, rules with pacing plans. And it's like when your race doesn't go good, you look at which rule it could have been, but you don't probably really have 100% hard evidence to give you that was the one that, rules on training load, things like that.
Yeah, because there's so many variables.
Book, Rules for Marathoning. Jordan Peterson wrote that book a couple of years ago, 12 Rules for Life. You should do that, Croaks, in your spare time. 12 Rules for Marathoning. I like that from you. There's another good idea for you.
Who's Jordan Peterson?
I just wrote a book a couple of years ago.
Can you remember it? Just reminding us, Brady, that you all read.
Surely you boys have heard of that book.
Nah.
You kidding me? God, you guys have no culture about you. Which is a perfect segue to Moose on the Loose. Thanks to ASICS for supporting this week's Trading Talk segment. Visit asics.com.au. What do you got, Moose?
Oh, I got a few things this week. So I'm going to start off firstly. The Ollie Hoare post that went up today is basically Ollie put a post up saying that he suffered online. He was the victim of online abuse, like people sending him messages, basically. I think it was about telling him how shit he ran or like that he fucked up their gambling thing, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what the messages were. He didn't share the messages. But it got me thinking, like, how can a member of the public, a random punter, have a direct line to someone like Ollie Hoare? Like, in what world should that be possible? That they can pick up their phone off a couch, send him a message saying, "You're fucking shit." or whatever it is they're sending, and he gets it on the other end. Like, this is insane stuff. That's a possibility that our social media or that our current communication services allow that to happen.
But he has to accept it. Like,
yeah, but that's the other thing, I guess.
There used to be phone books, Moose. I could have maybe found a Rob de Castella in the phone book, but I know probably some famous people had their silent number.
Yeah, private number.
Yeah, but but I'm sure there's some people that had their name in a phone book. You could call them up.
Maybe that's it. But do you know what? Having a conversation with someone, like talking to them, takes away the coward. Like the cowards disappear when they get confronted, and it's very easy behind a keyboard to sit there and send something out, and with the anonymity of the internet, and go, "Oh, you're shit, mate. Like, how bad were you? That was a terrible run," and never have to deal with the consequence of that. You're not calling someone up and having a conversation. Well, Ollie says, "Well, fuck you. Let's talk about it."
Yeah, what have you done in your life?
Yeah.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon these people that are messaging in though are actually like using their private accounts?
Oh, like on burner accounts for sure.
Because that's like, if they weren't on burner accounts, imagine like Ollie then flipping it and basically just screenshotting and going like, look at these guys, like what a hero.
That is the problem. But
he also shouldn't be wasting energy doing that either, though.
No, he shouldn't. Like, that's the thing. Like, these randoms, like it would go into message requests, and I would have thought at the Olympics, you shouldn't be opening any of those, or especially from people you just don't know. Like, why would you?
Yeah, but you can even turn those off so no one can send you message requests.
Yeah, see, that should be something that the team goes through, I reckon, like a bit of an education on how best to control who can actually access you 100%. During the most important event of your life.
Yeah. Or have people screen it for him. So just like, hey, like, I'm going to read through all these and delete the ones that you need to, we don't want you to see, and here's the ones that you can look at.
Can you imagine the hatred that Sha'Carri Richardson and Noah Lyles would get? Like, I saw today about a bloke, like Noah Lyles, he won the gold medal. He's the one who said that the NBA players aren't world champions of shit because they and the hatred that guy got. And so today a post went up saying, "Oh, Noah Lyles gold medalist," and it's all like, lucky he won this, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking this guy must cop so much hate come through his social media. Sha'Carri's the same, just like people that have that sort of confidence and that swagger, and they get attention, and there's no way those guys are looking at hate messages.
Yeah.
So why?
Yeah.
Why is Ollie?
Because I think we're still a little sport and like don't have things in place. I think they all are. You check like Jen Lucas is putting up, Coach Jen, she's putting up like 20 stories a day. Like that's still, and people argue that that's how they make a job. So it's like, this is where she went for dinner. This is where a kid played on a playground today. Like, I would find that really distracting. And I'm not even pretending to compare myself, but yeah, that's a part of life. And but people, like, we've had a lot of messages like, "Oh, should try and get this person on the show," and I'm like, no, I don't want them in the Olympic Village talking to me for 10 minutes on a podcast when they got a marathon or something in 10 days' time. Like, that is, I'll get them afterwards, but I want what's best for the athlete there, not what's best for the Inside Running podcast. I would shut all that off.
Yeah.
Because Nick Dacos ain't doing a meeting like 5 days, an interview on a podcast 5 days before the AFL Grand Final. I honestly think that professional running is sometimes amateur hour with the professionalism and the preparation that we undertake.
Because to some of the big dog sports stars in the world, would they have somebody actually controlling their Instagram accounts for them?
Yeah, just like a personal assistant.
Like Kipchoge, for example.
Do you reckon
he does his own Instagram?
He doesn't do any of that. That's the most obvious one getting around.
That bloke doesn't go near his phone.
Yeah. Someone else writes those captions for him.
3210.
Yeah.
Saying, boys, 8 a.m. tomorrow here.
Because it's professionalism.
Yeah.
He ain't worried about doing that. He's worried about running 40 k's a day in the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's a distraction.
That's number one. I got a few.
Hey, so there's a couple. So yeah, so first up, don't be a dickhead and send that stuff in the first place, but also think about what things you can have in place to avoid that impacting you.
Yeah, but also just the manner in which it can happen. I just don't like that about social media. I think that's fucked. Our society, you can just maybe if you sign up for an Instagram account, you got to prove your identity. Like, it's simple little identity check before you get an account. That'd stop all sorts of drama.
But then, Moose, how do you feel about us? Because we put stuff out there and we comment on athletes and we comment on their runs, and potentially if they listen to what we say, they could take that the wrong way as well.
Yeah, there's a difference between analysis and abuse, a big difference. And the media's job isn't to cheerlead. Like, the media is not there to go, oh, you're a great runner, and I know you had a terrible Olympics, but we love you so much and well done for being a superstar. That's not the job of the media. Like, we should be analysing performances. We should be commentating on the performance, and just treat running like any other professional sport. If your football team, let's say that Collingwood, Brady, they've come third all year, like they're third on the ladder, they go out in straight sets and they lose by 40 points each game. There are a lot of question marks on the coach of that team when they're doing the season wash-up. They're looking at the procedures they went through for the finals. They're looking at psychological stuff, like how did we win all year and then lose and go out in straight sets? Like, were we not physically prepared properly? Were we not eating right? Everything gets assessed. And the media, they're like, the running public, they want to hear this commentary. The commentary should reflect the feelings, I think, of the community. And so it's not all cheerleading. So and that's just part of what I think we should be doing. It's very different to saying, hey, you had a shit race, like, you're useless. That's not what we do. I feel like we've never done that to anybody.
No.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that's why we have stronger relationships with a lot of the people we discuss and talk about as well. What's your next one though, Moose?
Oh yeah, this one was centered around like a bit of a controversy in the women's boxing, and how there was a story that unfolded around a competitor pulling out like DNF, I guess, through a boxing round, sort of saying that the opposition was a man, and how that all played out in the open public media, the social media, was just disgusting, I reckon. Ill-informed general public, basically not even reading articles, not even doing any type of research of their own. I'm seeing dickheads in my own town posting about how it's men are beating up on women and it's this woke agenda and all this sort of stuff. No one did any research. No one listened to the story, read it. It nauseates me to see this stuff happen when all it took was a little bit more reading to develop your own opinion on the situation. That annoys me. And you know what it is? The social media that's worse, Twitter. Oh man. So I checked Twitter one of the mornings, and it was just, I scrolled and there was just, that's all my timeline was, just that stuff. And then I just decided, I'm like, I don't even want to look into this because it's just toxic, and I don't need to have an opinion on it because I know nothing about boxing. And so I still, now you talk about it, I have not given it any attention. I don't care about it. I don't want to care about it. It's not my area of expertise. Like, the other part of that is, why do the locals in your hometown who are on Facebook need to have an opinion on that stuff? Can't we just trust the authorities that work in that boxing area, that they've made the decisions and done the checks or whatever? Yeah, that does my head in. Yeah, once every 4 years we get these people commenting on sport, and they're very concerned about what's happening with this particular athlete for 3 days, and then they don't care about it for 4 years. And they disappear from ever considering it, and it goes out of their mind. But in that one day, they were fucking outraged, and this is terrible and bullshit, and this is the new agenda, the lefts are ruining the world, all this kind of stuff. And then we on to the next thing 2 days later, and the entire life of that person's been ruined
Yeah.
in 2 days because of some viral bullshit.
And we live in a country where 1 in 4 women have experienced domestic and family violence, and you won't see any opinions about that shit coming from those people.
Yeah, it's just that pisses me off. And then the next thing, this is not a moose on the loose or anything, but it just got me thinking. So Lisa Waitman at this 15K, 4-time Olympian. We worry about cross country falling in a hole, don't we? Like we see Adelaide, 3 people in the women's. We saw one of the main training groups there doing a workout the day before their state cross country race, like a hilly tempo. And you think, okay, how do we fix the sport? Well, Lisa Waitman paid her entry for the 15K on the weekend down in Ballarat. Why don't we make it as easy and as barrier-free as possible for our best runners to run state league cross countries and track races? Like, let's encourage them as best we can. Let's get them down there. Let's incentivize their participation at these events, because it's a buzz to have someone like Lisa running around. It's great for Athletics Victoria. It's a great story. They'll get media attention there, and they can build the races back up to that sort of, we all sort of live in the past a little bit, don't we? But sort of looking at where, if you looked in Victoria, the top 10 Victorians running, I mean, those that aren't at the Olympics, will all be doing cross-country race. So I think that we should incentivize that, maybe free entries if you're ranked in the top whatever, for any, like a distance event. Like, let's get these athletes down there. Let's build some stories around it.
Give them their AV rego for free.
Yeah.
Don't just give them a little flower on their number. Give them their rego for free. Save them $300. You'll love this then, Moose. So the Australian Half Marathon Championships are this weekend at the Sunshine Coast, and each state has the ability to send 6 people. And I know because I read the selection criteria for Victoria, and they picked 6 people, but only the top 3 ranked athletes got a free entry.
Only the what?
Top 3 ranked athletes. So
what, out of the 6?
Out of the 6. So the other 3 were expected to pay their own entry. The top 3 got $150 travel money, whereas the other 3 don't get anything. All 6, though, get access to the elite start line. And only the top 3 get ground transport to the start line.
Do you need 4 to count for the teams, or 3?
I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4.
I'm guessing you need 3 to count.
Yeah. But the Victorian team was legit. Like, well, I'm talking about 64, 65-minute guys are our 4th, 5th, 6th. Like, we're not sending hacks. Like,
and see, that's wrong. It's like,
so this is the team: Dale Carroll, Seth O'Donnell, Andre Waring, Sam McEntee, Luca De Conza, and Nathan Stote. So Nathan Stote would be the last one at 65.
And so you got Sam McEntee paying his entry fee.
But potentially, or Luca De Conza. I don't know which 3 they're. I don't even know how they rank him if they're going on PBs. So the women. Cool. So listen to this. So Lisa, Nat Rule, Sarah Klein, Gemma Maney are the top 4. So you've got one of those, potentially the Melbourne Marathon winner, Gemma Maney, Sarah Klein, Com Games World Champ rep. Maybe she's paying her entry. Nat Rule, what's she, 15:05, 5K?
Yeah.
I'm surely Lisa's not, but yeah, pretty sketchy.
You can nearly guarantee that they're getting, if they went through the elite system, they're in there with a free entry anyway.
If they went to the race directly, yeah.
Yeah, so why would they race for the state if they can get in for free?
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
You've got to buy the uniform as well. Team members will be required to wear the current Victorian competition uniform. For those who already have the competition uniform, we ask you wear it while competing and for presentations. Additional information may be purchased. Uniform can be purchased at this website.
But also, Moose, back to your point about like trying to get as many of our top distance runners to these like state meets. Like often, I know in New South Wales, it's like it's not just open races that are there that day. There's all these junior races. So must be like it'd be a massive buzz for the juniors to have, you know, like a Brett Robinson rock up when he's in the country because he's either getting a bit of money or doesn't have to pay to be there. So that's good for the juniors coming through as well.
Absolutely. And the spectators, like you want to come down, like bring your wife, bring your family down, your kids might, like you can just get so many more people to the events.
Goes back to the professionalism stuff, Moose.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Look at other sports. If you're, Elisa, you're what, top 3, top 4, top 5 in Australia, what you do, and you're getting no support.
Paying $50 to rock up.
Yeah. What's coming up? We've got the women's 5K final, which is coming up 5:15 a.m. Is that tomorrow morning, Croaks?
Yeah, it's like 12 hours from now.
I'll be up for that, I reckon. That's not too hard to get up for. And the 800-metre final as well, 5:47 a.m. Talking Tuesday morning here. Jess Hull kicks off her campaign tomorrow night. Her heaters at 6 p.m. Tuesday time. Men's 1,500-metre final, 4:50 Wednesday morning, boys. You do that too, I reckon, won't we?
Yeah, I can do that. Workout day, I reckon.
4:50's
pretty well.
Actually, 4:50 just looks bad. 5 a.m. looks okay. 4:50 looks terrible. It's only 10 minutes difference. We can do that.
I just don't look at my phone. I basically get up in the morning, go down and get onto the 9Go app on the TV, and basically they have all of the like this morning they've got a clip for the semi-final 1,500. The first semi-final, the 1,500. Then they got another 6-minute clip of the second semi-final. They had like individual clips for each 800-metre semi. So I do that. Just watch
it's pretty good.
And then go to my phone.
Yeah. Just a bit. It's a bit like messy on there, that's all. You got to kind of flick around a bit to find it. Anyway. Hey?
You're a smart guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Sunshine Coast Half Marathon's on this Sunday as well. So Lisa will race Sunday morning Australian time, women's marathon, and we know all the controversy that happened there with that selection, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Imagine if Lisa just goes out and runs the Australian record, 67:47. Beats it by 1 second. All those girls wake up the day of the marathon going, holy shit, we've got a bit of pressure on us now.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
That'd be big in the narrative, wouldn't it?
Do you reckon they're looking?
Well, I think they are. I think the social media use amongst Australian athletes is kind of huge, and there's no one telling them, hey, maybe let's not do this thing.
Yeah. Hand your phones in the night before. We'll take care of the alarms.
Put them in the plastic bags. Yeah.
I'm assuming Leanne's running as well, Sunshine Coast?
I haven't seen the ACT team. Tom DeCano is the big dog of the New South Wales team.
Yeah. See, Leanne might even run for New South Wales.
No, I don't think she was on the sheet today that I looked at.
Yeah, okay.
New South Wales. Steph Austin was there. I remember seeing that name. Sydney to Surf's also happening. I reckon Leanne would be there, Croaks. Wouldn't she?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Geez, it's a big weekend to pick up some cash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got a few.
Which one's more prestigious here?
Sydney to Surf for sure. You know, I nearly won the Australian Half Marathon Champs once.
It's an Aussie title.
Yeah, I nearly won it once in Sydney, come third. Wasn't even a good run. Used to be easy to try and win it.
So who's running Sydney to Surf?
I'm thinking Leanne Pompiani.
Ed Goddard, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ed loves winning races in Sydney. Maybe a Tim Vincent. I'd love to see him on that course. He might be at Sunshine Coast. I'm not sure. And just before we finish up, Moose, can I just get, because the marathons are going to happen between now and next week, I've got 2 slabs on Jess being first Australian, and we also have a slab on the men's marathon. I'm pretty sure you said Kipchoge and Bikili would be in the top 5. Just clarifying that.
Oh, I said top 10. Top 10.
Yeah, you said top 5.
I did not say top 5.
You said top 5.
Croaks, what's this bullshit?
Don't change it now. If anyone's out there.
I'm not sure. Like top, yeah.
I think you said top 5.
Well, we'll make it now then. Top 10.
No, because I agreed. It's top 5.
I still reckon to have both of those in the top 10 is like, that's still a pretty good effort given the unpredictability of the marathon, especially in those conditions.
There's 500 metres of elevation.
Yeah, exactly.
Kipchoge hates hills. Boston.
What about this?
Never ran New York.
Here's your bet. Take this or leave it. Kipchoge top 5. Slab. Hates hills. Hates hills.
I'd prefer both of them top 10 if we're going to alter the bet.
The bet is Kipchoge top 5.
Do you reckon he'll win?
No.
So is this Moose, you think he'll be in the top 5?
Yes.
Victor Kiplangat will win the marathon. I've got a good source out of Uganda, been training the house down.
Is he Ugandan?
Ugandan, yep. Going under the radar. Get him at $11. But this isn't a gambling podcast. Gamble responsibly, but that's what I'm hearing. Anyway, we're done, boys. What are you doing between now and next week, Croaks? I'll probably be talking to you in 24 hours' time.
Actually, I got a Zoom chat with Andre, my cardiologist, on Friday to sort of go through all of the testing that I had, or the results from the testing a couple of weeks ago. So that'll be interesting.
That will be good. Moose, what are you doing?
Boy, this week I'm going to watch the marathon.
Are we going to do a watch party?
No.
I think they do a local one. Oh, you mean us do a watch party?
No, because that's the thing. Like, I might have people over to watch it potentially.
I think Krabs is coming over. He's going to light the fire, have a couple of beers. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'd do the one with the alternate commentary. Like, just put your TV on. Here's us talking about what we're watching. But you can't really see much from the Australians. But anyway, there'll be a nightly episode on the Saturday night, fresh off the men's marathon anyway. Not sure who's on that panel yet. Let's wrap up, boys. Nearly been 2 hours. See you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Ready to take your race performance to the next level? We've already spoken about Precision Fuel and Hydration's online planner. Well, if you prefer talking to a human, you can also book a free consultation call to get a personalised strategy. We all love their products, and if you use the link in the show notes and the code INSIDERUN15, you can benefit from 15% off your first order and start to fall in love with their products too.